What's up, everybody, and welcome here to my official Premier League predictions for Matchday 33 on this video. Yeah, I might look like a little bit hot, obviously, in this room doing my Premier League predictions, but we'll go straight into this first prediction here on Matchday 33. We do have the West London derby between Brentford and Fulham for tomorrow at 12:30 kickoff. This will be a very, very interesting game because Brentford are playing at home. They've got some European fight ahead of them. They've got a chance to try and fight for those European places obviously, by tomorrow to try and compete in the Europa Conference League, Europa League positions from now until next 6 games left of the Premier League season. For Fulham, they're also in a big race as well. The exact same boat as Brentford. They're also challenging for European competition. If they can get enough points by now until the end of the season next month in May. And both teams are in the same trajectory between each other. They're both the exact same area in the league. And I think Brentford's a little bit better off compared to Fulham in terms of the league table. And Brentford are at home as well. Fulham are playing away from home also. Big game. West London derby matchup as well will be in stake between Fulham and Brentford. So this will be a very, very interesting one, I think, between these two sides. I don't really see any of these two teams slipping up by tomorrow. And I do think this game will come down to right down the middle, I think, between Brentford and Fulham at 12:30 kickoff for tomorrow. So I'm going to go for a draw. As my Premier League prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. Brentford 2, Fulham 2 as my official prediction by the end of this match day between Brentford and Fulham by tomorrow. Now, my Premier League predictions between Leeds United and Wolverhampton Wanderers. Big win for Leeds on Monday. They did defeat Man United 2-1 away from home. A big win pushes Leeds away from the relegation draw, away from Spurs, away from West Ham, away from Forest, and also away with those teams below them in the league. So very big win to Man United, of course. Big rivalry between Man U and Leeds through the years, but Leeds United did very well by beating Man United. Not expecting them to actually go to Old Trafford and go and pull out a win like that during that game on Monday Night Football. But the good thing about Leeds this weekend as well, like they did on Monday, they do play against Wolves, who are currently bottom of the league. Wolves got nothing to play for. Wolves obviously going to be relegated now to play in the Championship next season. There's nothing to play for Wolves. As for Leeds, however, there's a lot to play for them to be safe for this season. And I think Leeds, with their home advantage as well, with the fans, cheering, chanting, really giving the players a little bit of massive energy and courage to try it and go over the line and win the game by tomorrow. I do think this will happen. I do think 100% that Leeds will pick up the big 3 points, I think. I do think Leeds will do it. I think they will guarantee themselves 3 points because last week for Wolves, they lost to West Ham. And I think they'll lose again this week to Leeds United also. Really want it a lot more than Wolves, obviously, to try and go and win this game because they're going to be safe from the relegation draw. One more win, then they're safe, I think, Leeds. But who knows by tomorrow? You never know. Wolves might turn up and might get a draw over Leeds. Leeds could do that, though, because their form recently has been drawing games and losing games as well, and they're dropping down a bit slightly. But since they beat Man United, obviously, on Monday, there's no excuses to actually not win against Wolves by tomorrow. So I'm going to go for a win for Leeds. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win for Leeds United. I think Leeds will be up this game, and I think there's going to be a real proper cracker at 3 o'clock between Leeds and Wolves. So 3-0, my official score prediction between Leeds and Wolves. Now, my official prediction between Newcastle United and also Bournemouth. Huge game is going to be between Bournemouth and Newcastle on tomorrow's matchup at Newcastle Stadium of St James's Park's ground for tomorrow, because Newcastle lost 2 straight games in a row, lost to Sunderland in their last home game a few weeks back, and also lost to Crystal Palace away from home on Sunday. Do play Bournemouth, however, in good form recently, beating us in a title race against Man City, and they beat us at the Emirates. Big win for Bournemouth. Big win for them. And that's a massive boost for them. But the bad news is during that week, and Dario Ariola wants to leave the club at the end of the season. It's a massive blow for Bournemouth, however, having a good coach. Really carried Bournemouth into like a chance on qualifying for European football. They could do, and he could end up leaving, and that's a massive, big blow for Bournemouth to lose a manager like him. But he is only leaving at the end of the season, though, so we're still going to have time now until the end of the season to get some results maybe from now until the end of the season, especially for tomorrow against Newcastle. And I've seen Newcastle playing recently, not very good football. I know a few injuries they've had as well, and obviously they're not being the best team the last couple of weeks. But I think that with Newcastle at home, losing to Sunderland, losing to Palace is a big defeat for them. But with Bournemouth, who travelled all the way up to Newcastle, will be a very interesting game personally. So I think Bournemouth will really give it to Newcastle during this matchup. I don't think Newcastle will pick up any win in this matchup, I think Bournemouth might surprise Newcastle fans and the players for tomorrow, I think. And also Eddie Howe as well, former Bournemouth manager in the past. I do think that Bournemouth might pick up a big victory away from home. Only a 1-0 victory, I think, for Bournemouth. I think Evanilson will be on the score sheet for Bournemouth. So I'm going to go for a 1-0 win for Bournemouth. The Cherries will win. Newcastle will lose. That's my score prediction for tomorrow. Now my prediction between Spurs, who are in the relegation zone, against Brighton Hove Albion. Roberto De Zerbi's former club. He used to manage and done all right for Brighton Hove Albion. Did very well for Brighton as manager at the time. But obviously since he left, he went to Marseille. He obviously came back to the Premier League and managed Spurs during his first game was last week. They lost 1-0 to Sunderland. Time is running out for Spurs. Time is running out for Tottenham, because they could be playing in the Championship next season. It's no joke, because you look at the other teams around them, like West Ham Forest and Leeds as well. They've got winnable games. Winnable games they've got from now until May. Spurs have got not many winnable games. Maybe Wolves, they might pick up a win against them. Maybe a draw, maybe to Leeds, maybe. But I don't see any results will go on to Spurs' way, I don't think, at all. I just think that Spurs have been very known. I think people now recognise now that Spurs will not get out of this now. I don't think so as an Arsenal supporter. I'm not saying it to be bitter about Tottenham. I do think Spurs are in massive trouble, big trouble. And I think they are going to be relegated, I think, this season. I'm not going to lie. Even though they're established top 6 side, they're a bigger Dragonor of a club compared to the other teams around them. But they have not produced any wins since Palace, since Christmas. Since then, they've lost games week after week. Sack Eagle Tudor, Brendan De Zerbi. He hasn't improved Tottenham so far. And they go into this game, of course, for tomorrow's afternoon's game against Brighton. And this will be a very shocking matchup. I'll guarantee you that now. I don't see that Spurs got the fight, I don't think, in this matchup. Brighton, however, have been so good. 4 wins out of 4 recently in the league. You know, beating Liverpool, big result for them. Beating Burnley last weekend as well. They've got a good team, Brighton. Brighton's also challenging for European football as well. Big matchup for them to try and get themselves those 3 points for tomorrow. And I do think that's going to happen. I think Spurs will not score any goals during this matchup for tomorrow. I think Brighton will go to Tottenham and win the game by 1-0. I think Brighton will score, and I think it might stay 1-0 throughout the whole match. I think Spurs will fight, though. Spurs have to fight. Spurs have got no choice. They have to fight because you're going to be relegated this season. So, in a way, they've got to fight. They have to fight. They have to. But I don't think that'll be enough fight, I don't think, for the Spurs team for tomorrow. And I do think Brighton will pick up that 1-goal win and win them the game away from home. So my score prediction is going to be Spurs 0, Brighton 1, and I think Spurs are in big trouble by the end of this weekend. Now we go on to Chelsea and Manchester United. Well, Chelsea are sinking down the table slightly, away from the top 5 of the Premier League. United, however, lost 2-1 to Leeds. Doing well, obviously, under Michael Carrick, despite them losing to Leeds during Monday. Man United are a good side this season. They've transformed themselves into a top 4 team. Under Carrick, they've been very good. Very good. And I've seen the improvement in the Man United team, and the whole players are really performing under the manager, despite losing to Leeds and despite losing to Newcastle and despite a few draws left, right and centre. But they've been very good, they've been, throughout Michael Carrick as manager in charge for Manchester United, despite them, losing to Leeds at home. Chelsea, bad form. Liam Rosenior, I think he's not the right man for Chelsea, I don't think. I think when Rosenior took over from Enzo Maresca in January, He picked up some good form, got through to the FA Cup semi-finals against Leeds a couple of weeks from now, but they're not doing well in the league. They've been sinking a lot more, and even lost 3-0 to City last week. I didn't see Chelsea going into that game winning that matchup personally. So I think Chelsea's team is very, very poor, I think, and I don't see any identity for the Chelsea side. Even got Liam Rossini in charge. I don't think he's the right guy for the Chelsea job. I don't think. But at the same time, you never know what happens by tomorrow. I do think that United, however, they might have lost to Leeds, however, from last week. But I have seen United have been having hit and misses as well, like in results, because they end up not doing great, picking up form, end up drawing games, and then that's it. That's all they've been doing, but mostly been draws this season more than defeats. 5 defeats all season, but 13 draws all season for Man United. It's been good because they're still getting points though every week, and a few wins as well helps them be in that top 4 race. But in this matchup for the game at 8 o'clock kickoff for tomorrow, I think Chelsea will draw to Man United. I think Man United will go and draw this game against Chelsea in my score prediction. So I'm going to go for a 0-0 draw. I think 0-0 goalless draw, I think, between the Blues and the Red Devils in this matchup. So I don't think there'll be any goals in this match. So I'm going to go for a 0-0 draw for the matchup for tomorrow. Now, my official score prediction between Aston Villa and Sunderland. It is a massive game this is going to be, by the way, from Aston Villa, because they obviously did well by going through into the semi-finals of the Europa League. Do play against Sunderland, however, or in good form as well. We know how Sunderland being very good. Even beating Tottenham last week was massive for them. And they are in a fight, Sunderland, to be challenging for those European places and qualify for the Europa League if they can from now or to the end of the season. I've seen that Sunderland's team's very, very good. I've seen that all season. Even this game here will be a tough one for Villa for Sunday's game. But I've got to put a prediction between Villa and Sunderland on the weekend. It might be a tight one though. I think both teams are going to be up for this game, but I'm going to go for a draw. I think between Villa and Sunderland, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I think that with Villa, I think they're going to get a goal in the matchup, definitely, first. I think they'll score first in the match. And I do think as well for Sunderland, they'll get themselves a goal as well. And I think Broby will score. He's a very good striker, he is, for the Sunderland team. Top striker for the team this season, scored a few goals as well. And he did well by scoring against Newcastle in that 2-1 victory a few weeks back. And I do think that he will definitely be on the score sheet for Sunderland on Sunday's game. So I think that this game will come down to a draw between Villa and Sunderland. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw between the Villains and also the Black Cats on Sunday. My score prediction in the Merseyside derby between Everton and Liverpool. Huge game this is going to be, by the way, between these two sides. We know Everton have been, they've been very, very solid because their home form's been good. I've seen that Everton's really challenging for the Europa League now under David Moyes. I do see that Everton want it the most. I think out of the teams in that race, I think Everton's more that team, want that European qualification for next season. Look at David Moyes' track record he was at West Ham United, 3 straight seasons in the Europa League and the Conference League as well. 3 consecutive seasons. I do think that he wants Everton to challenge in those European places because they've got a new stadium, they've got a good squad. They believe in themselves a lot more compared to before when Diaz was manager and also manager before that, Frank Lampard. It was very, very poor for Everton's team. But with this manager here, David Moyes, since he took over from a year and a half now, he did very well to transform Everton to a team surviving from the drop, moving to their new stadium very, very nicely, into their new ground. And this first season in their new stadium, they are playing some good football. They're playing, and they always have their moments around that top 10, top 8, top 9 in the league. And I see them creeping in those European places. And they do play Liverpool, however. Liverpool's first game in Everton's new stadium for tomorrow, on Sunday, by the way. So Liverpool's first matchup, travelling to the stadium of Everton's new ground, right on the coast or right on the dock of Liverpool. And this will be a very interesting game for Liverpool to try and pick up a win in their first meeting between Liverpool and Everton in Everton's new ground. I've got to say that Everton, yeah, I think they're not going to mess around, because you've seen Liverpool at the moment. They've been shaky recently. You know, didn't do well in the Champions League as PSG. They got knocked out by PSG in the quarterfinals. They did obviously play against Fulham. They did win 2-0 in their last matchup from last weekend. And even the week before that, they lost 2-1 to Brighton. Hove Albion was a big defeat for Liverpool. So they're going to travel away from home to Everton, and Everton's going to be at this game throughout this. They'll be really at this game throughout the whole matchup, I think. And I think that Liverpool's team, not the team as it were before when they won the league and they were very dominant last season. This season they've been a little bit more different now, different approach for Arne Slot's side, and I do think they're gonna really not have a good game on Sunday. So my score prediction between Everton and Liverpool, I do think Everton will go for the win. I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory for Everton. I think Everton, with their form recently, is going to really help them in the game, and I do think that they're going to be the better team in this matchup for the Merseyside derby on Sunday. So 2-0 as my score prediction between Everton and Liverpool. Now, my official score prediction between Nottingham Forest and Burnley. This is a big 3-pointer, I think, for Forest all day long. Forest is very, very well yesterday by knocking out, who did they play? Porto in the Europa League. For the first time since 1984, Nottingham Forest have never played in the semi-finals of any European competitions, and they did that by beating Porto on Thursday. But they've got a big game against Burnley on Sunday. Big matchup for them, because Burnley are nowhere going to be safe now. They're going to hope for relegation anyway, back down to the Championship. Obviously for Forest, however, their aim is obviously just now surviving this season and try and get a good run in the European competition as well for the Europa League. So they've got that to think about, and also they've got this to think about as well with the Premier League, to keep themselves up away from Spurs. I do think that with Forest recently, they beat Tottenham 3-0. They drew 1-1 to Aston Villa in their last matchup at home. This game here against Burnley, I don't think that Forest will lose this game. I think Forest will definitely go for the win. They have to win this game as well, especially because if they don't win this game, it will give Spurs another bit of a chance to try and, build their momentum to try and overtake Forest again in the Premier League table. So I think that this game here will be a 100% victory, I think, for Forest on the weekend. So I'm going to go for Nottingham Forest 1, Burnley 0. I don't think Forest will be very good by scoring loads of goals. I don't think they're going to in that matchup. I think 1-0 can do in the match. Burnley will have their moments in the matchup to try and get a disallowed goal maybe. And then they don't play the best football throughout the whole game, and Forest will be more dominant in possession, and even Forest might sit back a little bit at the end of the matchup and hold back defensively and then stop Burnley from scoring. And I think that's going to happen, I think, between Forest and Burnley. So I'm going to go for a 1-0 victory for Forest, and I'll keep them a little bit away from Tottenham in the relegation drop by the end of this weekend. So 1-0, my score prediction for Nottingham Forest. This is going to be very interesting. This is going to be hair ripping out this Sunday, and stress and anxiety for Arsenal and for my team as well. We go away from home to play Man City in this matchup. This is a very big game, this is, by the way. Very huge, because I have got no hope whatsoever. We are going to win the league this year now. I think we've bottled it. I said this in my TikTok video last week. I said about this defeat against Bournemouth from their last matchup. I felt from that moment, yeah, that's it. Congratulations to Man City, Premier League champions. I do see this happening now. I don't see Arsenal going in this game here on Sunday confident. They're going to be worried. They're going to be shaky. They're going to be nervous. They're going to be very vulnerable in the matchup. I can see Man City. They're experienced enough to try and overtake us every year. They're experienced football team, Man City. Experienced. They've got a good manager. Pep Guardiola knows what's in Arteta's head, and even managed Mikel Arteta when he was the assistant coach of Man City. He knows what Arteta's like mentally, and I know that Pep Guardiola's going to trick Arteta on Sunday in terms of his tactical ways to try and stop Arsenal from going and win the Premier League title. I'm an Arsenal fan. I hate to admit it, but this year is not going to be our year this year. I think we're going to bottle it again. I don't care if people roast me about this. Even Spurs fans can roast me all they like, but look where you are in the league. You're going to get relegated this season. Us, we're going to bottle the league again. I think that's going to happen. My score prediction between City and Arsenal, I think that is going to be a 3-0 victory. 3-1. 3-1. I'm going 3-1. I think Arsenal score, yeah, but I think Man City will score 3 goals in the match and they make the goal difference a lot better in their end compared to our end. So I'm going 3-1 the score prediction for Man City to beat us on Sunday. I'm not being too negative about Arsenal, but I know what we like in these sort of times of the year. We always fumble it this time of the year, and I think Man City have got that momentum now from now until May to win the Premiership title. So 3-1 score prediction for City. Now we move on to the game on Monday Night Football between Crystal Palace and West Ham United. Big game this is going to be for West Ham because they are now outside of the relegation drop. Outside of the relegation zone after beating Wolves 4-0 in their last match. And now Spurs now dropped down to 18th. And I predicted Spurs will lose to Brighton for tomorrow. And that will give West Ham a little bit of less worry going into this game against Palace away from home down in South London on Monday. I think with West Ham, I see the belief in this squad. They've got belief, hunger they've got. You know, Nuno Espirito Santo is not a stupid manager. He knows in these sort of occasions, yeah, he knows how to get the job done. He's done it at Wolves. He's done it at Forest. He's done it in those sort of teams. He knows what he knows these positions very, very well. He knows where this position really is in terms of relegation fight. He's been there before, and he kept Forest up the seasons before that, and he kept Wolves up as well. He knows how to keep teams in the league. Nuno knows that. And I do think that he will do well, and he will fight against Palace. His team, the whole West Ham players, will fight in this game against Palace. Palace, however, can have a little bit of less worry a little bit now because Palace have got the Europa Conference League semi-finals to worry about against Shakhtar Donetsk a few weeks back, or the next 3 weeks' time. So they've got to play Shakhtar Donetsk in the Europa Conference League to worry about. In the Premier League, they can relax a little bit now, Palace, because they can loose the gears a little bit now. And I think they might allow this game to be, let's say, a chance for West Ham to pick up some 3 points. I think this could probably happen. I think West Ham are not stupid. They got Somerville back from injury. He's back. You've got Gerald Bowen playing as well. Good leader for the West Ham team. Mavropanos, great defender for West Ham. He's been showing that in the last few weeks. Even that goal he scored against Man City to draw that game and trying to help us win the league. You know, they are believing a lot more, West Ham. They've got faith. They've got more fight compared to Tottenham have. And I think they're going to come to this game on Monday and go for the victory. Palace got nothing to worry about. They've got the Conference League to worry about against Shakhtar Donetsk. This game here against West Ham, I think they're going to lose at home. I'm going to go for a 1-0 victory. I think that Mavropanos will score a header from a corner, and I think the game will come down to a holdout 1-0 goal lead going into the end of the game at Selhurst Park on Monday. So I'm going to go for a West Ham United to win 1-0 over Palace on Monday. That's all we have time for here right now for my Premier League predictions on Matchday 33. And that's all we have time for here on TGI Football. If you like my video, go and give my video a subscribe. Thank you all for watching and have a very good weekend. Peace out.